birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seen to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that? I know about them.
Ellen,
Now,
were you surprised by the allegations about P. Diddy? Did that surprise you about P. Diddy? He's been on your show many times. Have you been?
No personal beef with Diddy, but it's got to go down. The bits are there. I'm a gold miner. I just found some gold.
Joe Rogan just dropped a bomb that shattered the calm. This time, he's taking aim at the silence surrounding Ellen DeGeneres. With the Diddy scandal exploding across headlines and timelines, one question keeps echoing. Why is no one connecting the dots they're staring us in the face? Ellen's name keeps surfacing in this storm, yet so many act like they don't even notice. When federal authorities slapped serious charges on Diddy, the public did what it always does. They started digging. Old footage, forgotten interviews, moments once laughed at now feeling completely different under a harsher light. And that's when Ellen reappeared. Clips of her with Diddy surfaced, laughing too easily, joking too freely, leaning into conversations about the party scene, as if nothing was wrong. Innocent moments. Or a glimpse of something deeper, something people are just beginning to question.
all right, we're back with Sean Diddy Combs. Is it Diddy today? Because sometimes you're Puffy and sometimes you're Diddy. Or sometimes you're Daddy. What are you today?
I'm so confused today with it, as long as you say it in a nice way.
But now, the way the conversation has turned, those old jokes aren't just jokes anymore. People are replaying them, analyzing them, wondering if they were signaling something deeper all along. And then there's what Joe Rogan actually said about it. Brace yourself. He believes there's a reason Ellen hasn't been held to the same scrutiny as others in this storm. Think about it. Diddy appeared on her show multiple times. The so-called party talk wasn't a one-off remark. It was on full display, captured on camera, casual, even playful. Yet today, every laugh, every joke, every easy exchange is being re-examined under an entirely new lens. One that hints at a story far larger, far darker than anyone realized at the time.
Going to be a new thing? Are you going to try to be early?
Yes, I'm trying to be early.
Are you going to be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right. Not too late, though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late, because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because when you really stop and think about it, the silence is deafening. And it raises a question that keeps echoing. Is this just awkward timing, or a subject no one dares touch? And then things get even stranger. Remember when Ellen's show ended after that toxic workplace scandal? That wasn't just a fleeting headline. It completely shifted how people saw her. Later, she and Portia moved to the UK, with Ellen publicly linking it to the political climate. But many viewers didn't see it as a lifestyle choice. They read the timing as a signal. Coincidence? Maybe. But the audience doesn't do maybe. That's why old clips keep resurfacing, receipts keep getting pulled, and the question of what really happened behind the scenes refuses to die. So before we dive deeper into the Rogan angle, here's why Ellen even matters in this storm. When BuzzFeed News dropped that report on her show, it blew up her be-kind image overnight. Former staff described intimidation, racism allegations, toxic management, and an environment where speaking up carried real consequences. The shocking part, the contrast. The brand preached kindness, but behind the cameras, pressure ruled. The fallout was brutal. Several executive producers were removed, and Ellen addressed it publicly. But the debate never fully died. Was it just a few bad executives or the culture of a whole show? Ellen claimed she didn't know everything going on behind the scenes, and that's where the divide began. Some bought it, others didn't. Either way, her reputation took a serious hit.
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected.
The show carried on for a while longer, then wrapped up with Ellen claiming it simply wasn't challenging anymore. But many saw it differently. The trust had been broken, and for some, it never fully returned. And now, let's get to the moment Joe Rogan dropped that bomb about Ellen during the Diddy discussion on his podcast. Rogan didn't hold back. He pointed out how bizarre it is that for years, so many celebrities openly joked about Diddy's wild parties, treating them like a badge of honor. And yet, somehow, Ellen had largely escaped scrutiny.
Well, I guess Diddy just kept people at his houses because he's got multiple houses and he's just had freak out part. Look at him. Look at Saucy Santana. Go, Saucy.
Yeah, no, Saucy's crazy. Have you seen Saucy?
He called out people like Ashton Kutcher and others who openly bragged about those parties, treating them like a badge of honor. Then he dropped the obvious truth. One of the main stages where these party conversations unfolded, right there on camera, was Ellen's own show. Rogan's point cut deep. How did all these famous names orbit these parties for years, joke about them publicly, laugh along, and all claim they saw nothing, while the current allegations are painting an entirely different, darker picture? And here's why it landed so hard. A lot of that party talk wasn't subtle. There's a specific 2018 moment that keeps resurfacing. Diddy tells Ellen he invites her to all his parties, and she never shows. Then he adds the parties start early, but the real action begins at midnight on the top floors. Ellen reacts like she already knows exactly what he means. That split-second expression, that knowing look, is the clip nobody can stop replaying.
Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like, what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Then the after party.
So let's unpack why this matters, and why Rogan finds it suspicious that Ellen's name barely comes up in the mainstream narrative. First, she had Diddy on her show multiple times, and the party talk wasn't a one-off. It was a recurring joke, almost part of the show's rhythm. Then viewers started digging even deeper, pulling up older clips, like that 2002 Conan O'Brien interview, where Diddy joked about needing locks on the doors at his parties. Back then, it sounded like shock humor, something to get a laugh. But now, watching it today, it doesn't feel like a joke. It feels like a warning, a glimpse of something that was happening all along. Whether that's fair or not, the audience is reading it that way.
Right. Just, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
Yeah. Once those clips started making the rounds again, the question morphed into something more pointed. What did Ellen know, if anything, and why isn't she saying a word? People even dug up that 2016 tweet where she jokingly nicknamed Diddy Cuddle McNuggle Stuff. Cute at the time, but now it reads differently in the context of everything else. Then there were moments catching attention where she was approached with questions and didn't respond. Some viewers read her body language as uneasy, even guilty. Others argue anyone would look awkward if blindsided on camera. Either way, it poured fuel onto an already blazing discussion, leaving everyone wondering what really went on behind the scenes.
I do feel like you may not do that. You're neat, though, right? I would imagine your closet is color coordinated. Everything is hung in a certain,
yes.
Right? So you're neat. It's just that you're not the person that puts it back. All right.
Rogan's point is straightforward, but it hits hard. If you were close enough to have Diddy on your show multiple times, joke openly about the party culture on national TV, and react in ways that suggest you already understand what it all means, then, when the conversation turns serious, people are going to expect answers. They're going to expect you to speak up. Silence doesn't go unnoticed.
Diddy party, but there's a camera that swings around and they go, hey, yo, Odell Beckham, and you see Justin Bieber's head come up from his crotch, and he looks in the camera and he's very confused. It's a really disturbing video.
At that time, Puff was the biggest guy in the world. You couldn't even get in his parties. And he was throwing a party. He said, yo, Playboy, this party's $1.5 million. I said, for what? I mean, what wouldn't say that? It costs $1.5 million to throw this party. I said, Puff, I love it. The party's amazing. Yes, the mayor is here and everything. I said, but that's too much. What? I said, you come to my place in LA, I'll throw you a party for $400. That will rival this party. And he got a little mad. He was like, yo, no, I'm known for this shit. Don't front.
And it's that silence from Ellen, and from so many others, that Rogan flags as suspicious, at least at the level of public perception. But hold on, because there's another layer that makes this far more tangled. Remember the workplace scandal? Former staff described an environment where people were afraid to speak up, where fear and power ruled. Many commenters draw parallels between that dynamic and how celebrity circles operate when someone wields influence. This doesn't prove anything criminal about Ellen, but it helps explain why people keep making the connection, and why the conversation refuses to die. There are other stories that keep surfacing in that same context. A former crew member describing the tension on set, or claims about certain guests being quietly kept off the show over personal conflicts. Accuracy aside, the pattern people see is consistent: control, pressure, silence. Once viewers detect a pattern like that, they don't just watch the clips, they reinterpret them. And here's the moment that sticks out the most, a striking contrast between public stance and private perception. In 2009, after Chris Brown faced public accusations of assaulting Rihanna, Ellen put Diddy on the spot on her show. She questioned why Chris Brown was even allowed to use his house, speaking as if taking a firm stand against domestic violence, saying she didn't want any girl to think it was okay to return to someone who had hurt them. That clip, juxtaposed with everything else, only intensifies the scrutiny.
This leads me to the perfect thing, because I would like you to clear something up. There's
Yes.
a lot of talk going on with Chris Brown being at your place in Miami and you arranging Chris and Rihanna getting back together.
And it's my house. And I'm allowed to give my house to whoever I want to give my house to.
Sure.
That's number one. Number two is that I'm the type of person that I don't cast a stone or cast a judgment on anybody. And so if a friend or friends ask me for a favor, then I'm going to be there for a favor.
Then, when the workplace allegations around Ellen's own show surfaced, former staff painted a picture of toxicity, a culture they described as abusive. And that's why critics call it hypocrisy. Not because it proves a crime, but because the contrast is impossible to ignore. One moment it's, I'm standing up for women, and the next, her own set was allegedly a chaotic mess behind the scenes. Now zoom out for a second. Reports also surfaced that Ellen and Portia sold their Montecito home and relocated to rural England, with the move publicly linked to the political climate. Many viewers immediately connected the timing to the Diddy controversy. While his legal battle grabbed headlines, everyone was watching which celebrity names stayed silent and which didn't. And this is where the rabbit hole turns darker. The crowd doesn't just watch, it invents. At one point, a rumor spread that Ellen had an arrest warrant tied to her former DJ, Steven Twitch Boss, who passed in late 2022, and that a recording had supposedly been played in court. Fact checkers quickly debunked it. But the speed it traveled was telling. People weren't asking, is it true? They were asking, does it fit the narrative? With Ellen's reputation already fragile, her name became a magnet for anything shocking, especially when it could be tied to a larger story of Hollywood darkness. That's the danger here. A rumor can move faster than reality, but the distrust lingers, and the stories never fully die. Even in her Netflix special, For Your Approval, Ellen addressed being pushed out of show business, joking about it, essentially admitting that the Be Kind girl had already become a headline, and an identity all her own.
All right, well, let me catch up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. I decided to take up gardening. I got chickens. Let me see what else I can tell you about that. It's been going on. Oh, yeah, I got kicked out of show.
But what grabbed people wasn't even the punchline, it was the tone. The way she spoke about ego exposure, and how the hate always seems louder than the love. She said, there are such extremes in this business. People either love you and idolize you, or they hate you. And those people somehow are louder. A lot of listeners didn't hear that as accountability. They heard it as deflection, someone still wrestling with the fallout, rather than fully owning it. Then came another viral moment that showed just how far the conversation has spiraled. Aaron Rodgers went on Joe Rogan's podcast and tried comparing Ellen's old talk show set to Epstein Island because of similar architecture. Rogan shut it down immediately, saying it looked like a random LA building and was probably coincidence. But the fact that it was even brought up says everything about where Ellen's reputation sits now. People are trying to pin her onto the same conspiracy map they reserve for the darkest names in recent history, not because anything has been proven, but because the internet craves a story that feels cinematic. So what is everyone actually saying about all of this? Let's look at the reactions and listen for the pattern beneath the noise, not just the insults.
Look at the. Let me see Ellen's background. What? Oh, similar. That looks like a building, though. Like
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Is that a building in LA? That might be a building in LA.
One commenter claimed Ellen knew more than she let on and is hiding out in England while Diddy deals with federal trouble. Others said Rogan is simply saying what everyone else is afraid to say, questioning why some names get dragged through the mud while others seem to get a lighter touch. Then come the body language breakdowns, clips of Ellen avoiding questions, with people calling her reactions guilty. Again, that's not proof, that's perception. But perception is what powers these comment wars. And you see the same themes looping over and over. Toxic workplace headlines, an apology many thought fell flat, a move overseas that viewers read as a signal, and then the Diddy conversation getting louder, all stitched together into one giant narrative. That's the engine of this whole story. People feel Ellen never really paid the price, so they start searching for a bigger explanation. Remember the first question? Why does it feel like nobody wants to talk about Ellen in this conversation? Here's the conclusion many people jump to. They think she's treated differently. Not legally, not officially, but because she's still Ellen DeGeneres. Connections, money, relationships, influence, the power to shape a storyline even after stepping away from TV. But what's shifting now is this. People like Joe Rogan don't play by those unspoken rules. They'll say the quiet part out loud, not as a verdict, but as a question. And once a massive platform frames it as a legitimate question, the audience runs with it. The real controversy isn't Ellen is worse than Diddy. That's a reckless leap. The controversy is why some celebrities get interrogated nonstop while others seem protected, even when the clips exist, the quotes exist, and the optics look messy. That's why this won't go away. The Diddy situation triggered a rewind. Old interviews get replayed, old jokes get relabeled, and suddenly people aren't just watching entertainment, they're hunting for patterns. So what's next for Ellen? Most likely a quiet life, unless real, verifiable evidence ever links her to anything illegal. Not vibes, not theories, not body language. She'll probably be remembered more for the toxic workplace era and a colder public image than for anything tied to Diddy. As for Diddy, the legal battle doesn't vanish. There are appeals, filing civil suits, and an echo that keeps pulling more names into the conversation, whether they belong there or not. So what do you think? Did Ellen know more than she admitted? Or is this just the internet doing what it always does, turning old clips into a storyline? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dive breakdowns of celebrity drama the mainstream tiptoes around, check out the other videos on the channel.